And we are live! Good evening po sa inyong lahat mga kaguro. And of course, welcome back to Gurong Pinoy, no? Sa ating mga team veterano, sa ating mga team thunders, kaway-kaway. And of course, if you are watching us on YouTube, please do like this video so that this video can perform better. And of course, if you are watching us on Facebook, i-like na po yung ating video, i-share yung ating video, i-tag yung inyong friends. And of course, you can also start a watch party. Welcome back po sa lahat ng ating mga veterano and of course sa ating mga newbies. Make sure that you comment that, no? I-type nyo po yan sa ating comment box that you are new, this is your first time to watch us and to join us live, okay? So that we can all welcome you, yung ating team, Facebook, and of course, our team YouTube. You can also find us on Instagram at Gurong Pinoy PH, also as Gurong Pinoy on TikTok. Meron na din po tayong Laika, so if you have Laika, please do follow us. We are still Gurong Pinoy on Laika. Now, before we start with anything else tonight, let us all have our opening prayer.
Let us pray. Our gracious God, thank you for this day. Your eternal essence is truly enough for us to understand things in this life. Though it is hard and confusing, but your grace is more abundant than fear and failure. Dear Lord, as we come together in your holy presence, we ask you guidance and protection for our online review. Please be with us, dear God, as you be with our loved ones. May you find us faithful in our devotion to you. Thank you, Jesus. You are our hope. Thank you, Holy Spirit. You are our teacher and comforter. All this we ask in the mighty name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay, now once again, if you are still not a member of any of our teams, we have Team Erickson, and of course, we also have Team Gardner. Kung hindi pa rin po kayo member ng ating teams, make sure that you become a member. We encourage all of you to please become a member of our Gurong Pinoy teams. You are going to receive all exclusive materials coming from us, all the materials that we are using in our live stream. Nandyan po lahat sa ating Gurong Pinoy team. So again, enrollment is still open. Malapit na po yung September. So again, please don't waste time. Make sure that you become a member of our Gurong Pinoy teams. For the ways, the methods so that you can become a member of our teams, just send us a message through our Facebook page. Okay, you can see the membership on the screen. But again, we still have our promo. Meron pa rin po tayong promo, not just 50% off, but we still have 500 for Gen Ed and Prof Ed, 500 for Majorship, and of course, Gen Ed, Prof Ed, and Majorship, that's only 850. Okay, so just send a message through our Facebook page. There are several ways that you can support Gurong Pinoy. Of course, you can become one of our supporters. We have our supporters exclusive only meeting. So again, if you can become our supporter, the fee is $1.99 every month. It's an auto pay, no? So kung meron po kayong kakayahan to become our supporter, then please do support us so that we can continue helping people just like you and mapaggaan po yung inyong pagre-review for the LET. We also have our star supporters, no? If you can send us your stars through our Facebook page whenever we go live, then please do support us. And of course, we have our schedule po dito. Now, this is for May. So 1, 2, 8, 9, and so on. You all have the schedule that you can find now on the screen. We are going to have all international teachers in the month of May. Tomorrow, of course, we are still coming back with part 4 of Gen Sci, okay? Now, our summer fever, instead of having it on May 15th, we will be having it on May 22nd. I've already posted the guidelines. I've already posted your groups. I hope you have already met your groups. I've also had a current post, no? May current post na po tayo where you have to comment the name of your leader, also the name of your participants. So please do make sure that you go back to our Facebook page and comment there, no, so that we can already finalize all the activities that we have for our summer fever. Okay, now tonight, of course, you have all requested for this. Okay, we are back with Gen Sci. And of course, we have Doc H with us. Okay, so it is our great honor and privilege to have him back. This is part 3 of General Science. Medyo mahaba-haba yung magiging kwentuhan nyo with Doc H. And so without any further ado, I am going to give you, okay, my maestro.
Hello.
Doc H. Okay, can you please try to share your screen, Doc?
Yeah, we'll see. I'm I'm already sharing this. Am I sharing the screen now?
Not yet po.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
okay.
really strange.
Ayan na po.
This one.
Yes.
Okay, sige. So, medyo advanced, no? We have 60 items
Aha.
and hopefully makaya in just 2 hours.
Now, a few reminders to all our students, no? There are so many items sa GenSci na lumalabas sa LET, especially sa ating Gen Ed, no? So, make sure that you are paying attention, okay? And we might also ask for the material still, Doc H.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this one I already gave to you. Then we'll see what will happen in the next meetings. No, just send me your email.
Okay,
Just
thank you
email
po,
me
Doc
online
H.
about,
Okay.
Okay, so how many people do we have? How many attendees do we have? And this is a little bit different, no, from the usual platform. How can I, Ma'am Mek, how can I see the comments if I wish to communicate with them?
If you are using two devices po, sir, I'd suggest that
Okay.
the other device should be in StreamYard.
Okay, so how can I do that? Unfortunately, I opened only one. No? So
Okay. We will
maybe,
wait, Doc H. We will
huh?
wait. We will wait. We will wait.
Yeah, I don't have any Google Chrome with the first one. Okay. Very sorry for this. I'm a dinosaur in this one. So
It's
let's.
okay po. We all know how busy you are, sir, Doc H. And congratulations
Uh-huh.
for being an awardee, no? 20 years in service.
Oo nga eh. Crazy enough to still stay as a teacher and an administrator.
We need you.
Yeah, Opera. I still have to download the Chrome. I'll use an iPad.
Okay, yon.
Wala din akong Chrome sa iPad ko.
Or if you can, Doc H, pwede din po sa cellphone.
Yeah. I'm trying to use the laptop pero walang Google Chrome pala. Sige. This one.
Okay.
Ay, nako, I'm wasting your time. So sorry.
It's okay po. Now, in the meantime, students, no, again, pag hindi pa po kayo nakaka-comment doon sa ating Summer Fever, no, make sure mag-comment na po kayo. Ilagay nyo yung name ng inyong leader and of course,
Yeah.
yung participants.
Sige.
Ayun na.
Nako. Hindi talaga. No? Cellphone. Where's my cellphone?
Ayun. Now, again, while waiting, no, i-comment nyo nga po kung saan kayo ngayon, mga kaguro. Ayun, si Ma'am Angie Pinaaling from Gingoog City, Misamis Oriental. Hello po, good evening.
Nako, fresh lang ako sa Misamis last week. Virtually kasi we had our accreditation. So, 5 schools we accredited, no? 5 private schools. So,
okay. Fresh na fresh from Misamis. Pero virtual lang, Doc.
Oo, virtual. Pero yun, masaya rin, no? Kasi yung mga schools na doon, medyo masaya na malungkot kasi yung reality ng COVID ngayon is real, no? In all places, no? I've seen schools decreasing their number of teachers, decreasing also their sweldo, no? They had to decrease their sweldo and teachers. No? So here's what I will do. Because I cannot open, even I have 3 more devices here. So ang mangyayari na lang, I'll just talk to you. Then please bear with me if I will scan back and forth, no? The screen. Okay lang ba 'yon? Na
okay
anyway, in order for me to check also the comments. So this one, can you see the slide now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I move, then you see me again. Okay ba? Very good. So, sige na lang, okay na lang. Parang you're just browsing an iPad. Okay, so magandang umaga, hapon, gabi sa inyong lahat. This is the 3rd trans of our science review. And I thought na maganda siguro if we end our 4 sets of review with 2 sets of review in physics, no, which I'm more comfortable with. But sabi ko, I designed this one such a way that we will also talk about general science, physics, chemistry, and I don't know, maybe biology in parts. So there are 60 items here, and I hope that everyone will also answer. Now, importante dito, you go through the process, you give your answer. Maybe it's wrong, maybe it's right. What is important is the process. No, you learn along the way. So maybe Gracia then, if you get the wrong answer, in case, because that might be a good time for you to easily understand the whole thing because you got it wrong. But for those who got the right answer, that's an affirmation also. So to you. So let's see. Out of 60, if you're a student of the a regular school, you need to get 31, di ba? 31 out of 60. However, this is physics. So sabi to some, they might think that this one is a difficult thing, no? Pero ako I doubt, no? I doubt sa inyo. So let's see. That's number 1. Which of the following explains why the wing of airplanes are streamlined flat at the bottom and bulge on top? Okay, Archimedes' principle, Bernoulli's principle, or Boyle's law, or Pascal's principle? So kindly write your answers in the chat box. Let's see. May mga taga Baguio dito. I still can see. I know that there's a gap, no, in terms of number of seconds. Last time, if I remember, 10 seconds. So forgive me if I cannot recognize your answers because there's a gap, no. But what is important is you chip in your answers. Sige, let's see. C, D, C, D, C, B. Okay. Yan. But you know what? What is more important here is us challenging ourselves to be familiar with all these 4. Remember, in LET, there are some questions that are not really conceptual, but more practical. They ask you a specific situation and they ask you kung what principle does that represent. So in this case, if you talk about wings of airplanes flying, normally it's related to Bernoulli's principle. Okay? And if we talk about Bernoulli's principle, I'll explain Bernoulli's principle later. So ask yourself, what is Archimedes' principle nga? Remember Archimedes, when he was asked, no, when he was challenged by a friend, kung ang crown na binigay sa king na yon is really made up of gold, he thought of an experiment while taking a bath. Now, of course, that's a story. We don't know if that's really true. And then because of that, he also thought of Archimedes' principle. We will discuss Archimedes' principle soon, but it has to do with things floating, di ba? The capacity of the fluid to make the object float based on the liquid it displaces, no? The object that it displaces. And Boyle's law has to do with pressure in volume. Pascal's principle has to do with pressure, in a specific confined environment. But Bernoulli's principle here has to do with lifting of things. Cars, for example, have limited design because whenever cars move faster, then eventually they lift off because cars also have flat bottom and a little bit bulge on top. Paano yan nangyayari? So in this picture, you see that as the object moves forward faster, the difference of pressure on top and the bottom becomes higher. And the pressure down pushes the object up, and then the pressure up, no, the wing lift the object up, no. So because of the molecules, sabi ng Bernoulli's principle, when the molecules are moving very fast, pressure becomes low, no. So there's an inverse proportionality between the two, and it has a lot of application in many ways, no, not just in the wing. So airplanes fly because of Bernoulli's principle. Now let's have number 2. A balloon is filled with helium and another balloon of the same size is filled with hydrogen. If both balloons are released, what will happen? So helium balloon will go up faster. The hydrogen balloon will go up faster. Both will go up at the same time. or it cannot be determined which of the two balloons will go up faster. Okay? So meron kang dalawang balloon, helium yung isa, hydrogen yung isa, which will, what will happen if both will be released? Okay? So let's see, helium ba, hydrogen ba, the same ba, or you cannot determine it based on the data given? Let's see your answers. Merong A, B, pasensya na, back and forth. Parang nagsascan lang tayo ng iPad. B, A, nagbabanggaan si B at saka si A. So some say that helium will go up faster. Some are saying some are betting for hydrogen balloon. Okay? So the answer here is, let me see, CB, AB, AB, half talaga, no? Meron pang ang C. So both will go up the same time. Okay, the answer for number 2 is B. And to some of you who might be still confused or would like to challenge this, take note that hydrogen is lighter than helium. Only that helium is the one we use in the balloon kasi helium is less flammable. So I remember one instance here in Iloilo, there was an issue regarding the balloon kasi parang birthday celebration yun. Siyempre, you have to use phosphoro in order to light up a candle. Malapit yung balloon, tapos nag-inflame. So it was found out that the balloon was made up of hydrogen. But here in number 2, why hydrogen? Because hydrogen is really lighter than helium. If you look at its atomic structure, iba talaga, no? One electron, no? And then dalawa for helium. So in this case, hydrogen will lift up. Simple chemistry, no? So the element with lighter, that is lighter will also go up faster. Okay, next. Ayan. Ito apologize na ako in advance. Now we'll have much of computation here. Simple computations though. If you have your calculators with you, I think that's allowed to take the left. And so you already use your calculator. How long will it take a tennis ball thrown vertically upward with initial velocity of 19.6 meters per second to reach the ground? So, welcome to physics. If you can still remember your physics in grade 10 and also your physics in college, it talks about a lot about gravity, no? Objects thrown up, objects thrown sideways, and you have to anticipate where it will go, how high it will go. In this case, how long will it take for a tennis ball thrown up and then with an initial velocity of 19.6 to reach the ground? So it goes up and down. The presumption here is that you threw it on the ground also. Okay, and then it will fall on the ground. So what do you think? How many seconds will it be? The challenge here is, in all that questions, you need to answer it as fast as you can. So there must be ways to answer questions like this that sounds complicated in a faster way. So let's see your answers. It's 1, 2, 3, or 4 seconds. Go back. So we have BA. Are these answers already number 3? Yeah. Please place your number, the number for your answer. So I will know that you're answering number 3 or number 2 or number 4. So 3D, what else? 3B, BD. So that's B versus D. Remember, the object goes up and then down with an initial velocity of 19.6 meters per second. So A, B, D. Okay, that's a good approximation. And it's a good approximation kung hindi alam, for example, no, hindi mo alam, 3 is most likely not the right answer. The letter C pala is most likely not the right answer. But is it 1 second, 4 seconds, or 2 seconds? Okay. So thank you for your answers, no? Masarap makita na nagpa-participate yung lahat, no? And then free willing, no? Kung mali, okay lang, no? There's no shame there. So let's see. It looks complicated, ladies and gentlemen, to some, but for the science majors maybe, or maybe math majors, it might be easier. And for others who are familiar and who love this subject, no? So the formula is V equals V1 plus AT, V being the final velocity, VI the initial velocity, A the acceleration due to gravity, and T the time it takes for it to move up and down, no? So we need to get the value of T and then multiply it into 2 because the T here is going up, the time going up. Remember, it's 19.6, okay? And very clearly, the time is equal to negative VI over T. The negative here is the direction, no? Going down. We place negative here. That's directional. That's directional only. So VI is equal to 19.6 divided by time. Okay, and VI is V over the A na pala ito. A to. Sorry. This is A, not time. Ano man to? Sige, anyway, T is equal to VI over A. Okay? Ano ba yan? T is equal to VI. Kasi your V is 0 eh. So if V is 0, so T is equal to VI over A. So this is A supposed to be. Ay, nako. I'll change this muna ha. This is A. Sayang naman. Okay. So VI over A, and VI is 19.6 and A is 9.8. Remember, if you are solving problems regarding gravity or free-falling objects, the A, if you are talking about sea level, the A is always 9.8 meter per second squared. Okay? And take note, presume let is following the metric system. No? So A is equal to 9.8 meter per second squared. Sa engineering, it's 9.81. It doesn't matter. No? And in some books, they use 10 meter per second squared. But to be in between, no, to be more accurate than 10, so it's 9.8. So that's 19.6 divided by 9.8, and that becomes 2 seconds. Okay? But that's just the time going up, and the time going up and down is 2 times 2, diba? Which is 4 seconds. 2 seconds going up and 2 seconds going down. But you don't even need to compute it that way. In a free-falling body, magamba ka, if you say 19.6, that means to say, because the G is 9.8 meter per second squared, that means that it slows down going up by 9.8 meter per second. So because the initial velocity is 19.6, so the first second is 19.6, it becomes 9.8, then it goes 0. So meaning, it's clear that 19.6 divided by 2, that's 2. That's 2 seconds going up. No? If the initial velocity is 9.8, meaning to say it takes 1 second more for it to reach 0 velocity up. But if it is 19.6, meaning it takes 2 seconds to go up and hit the 0 mark. If it is 29.4 meter per second going up, then it takes 3 seconds before it goes 0. Kasi all you need to do is divide it by 9.8. So, in this problem, it's 19.6, so it's 2 seconds going up and 2 seconds going down. Sometimes the problem will ask you, how many seconds will it take for it to go up? So the answer is 2 seconds. Sometimes the problem will say, how many seconds will it stay on air? So that's 2 seconds going up and then 2 seconds going down, which make it sit 4 seconds. Okay. So, nakakaano yun? Nakakahingal. Number 4. Which of the following is not true about force and acceleration? So force and acceleration are directly proportional to each other. Force and acceleration are vector quantities. Force and acceleration always have the same direction. Or force increases if acceleration decreases. Okay? Ano kaya? Saan ang hindi totoo among the 4? Okay? Try to analyze it. If you're sure with one item, you can put an X there so that you will just analyze those items that you are not sure yet. Okay, let's see your answers. Is it A, B, C, or D? Number 4, wala pa. Wala pang sagot. Which of the following is not true about force and acceleration? This is, we are talking about the second law of motion of Newton. Okay, number 4 answers. We have here D, B, A. Again, which is not true about force and acceleration. Okay, so let's see. I think we really need to move faster, so I'll only give you a few seconds to answer this. Pasensya na, may 10 seconds na gap tayo. But in your answers, merong C, merong A, merong D. C, A, D. Okay. Sige. So, let's see. If you talk about the second law of motion, it says force is equal to mass times acceleration. This is the mathematical expression of the second law of motion. Force being the expressed in newtons. It's also a vector quantity, meaning to say a quantity that has a value that has magnitude in direction. Mass is in kilogram, and then acceleration also a vector quantity. So ang tanong, saan dito sa sentences that is not true? Okay, if F is equal to MA, therefore, D is not true. Una sa lahat, if you want to analyze this, A and D are contradicting with each other. So that's already a good clue that you are just supposed to choose between A and D. No? Remember that force and acceleration are vector quantities and they share the same direction. So B and C are not the right answer. However, A is not also the right answer because A is affirmative. No? Force and acceleration are directly proportional to each other if you look at the equation. F is equal to ma. If m is constant, therefore F is equal to A. Okay? Letter D is wrong because if you go back to the equation, force and acceleration are directly proportional, just like in the sentence A. So therefore, D is wrong. Number 5. Which of the following have the same momentum? Okay, pakibasa na lang. Two identical cars moving at an equal velocities. Two different cars moving at equal velocities. Two different cars moving at different velocities. Or two different cars moving at equal velocities. Take note, the concept here is momentum. So, ang tanong, saan from the choices have the same momentum? Okay, kindly analyze it. Let's see your answers. Kindly write the number and then the answer. Oh, marami dito, very fast, no? Sumagot, no? D, C, D. Oh, I think. So this one is almost self-explanatory. We're looking for identical momentum. And so the answer is, remember, momentum is P equals mv. Momentum is equal to the product of the mass and velocity of the object. Both are having the same direction, momentum and velocity. The answer is two identical cars moving at equal velocities. More than that, take note of the concept of velocity, of momentum. Momentum is dependent on the mass and velocity of the object. Both the mass and velocity of the object, both the momentum and velocity of the object have the same direction. Okay? Let's go to number 6. Okay? How long will it take a car to travel from rest at an acceleration of 3 meters per second squared to cover a straight distance of 24 meters? 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C, D. What do you think? So it starts from rest and then it accelerates at 3 meters per second squared and it covered 24 meters. How long did it take for it to cover 24 meters? If it starts from rest and having an acceleration of 3 meters per second squared. Okay? So, medyo, to some, this is fast, easy to solve. To others, we still have to crack our brains. Let's see. Our answers in number 6. Number 6, may answer na si Anne. 6D, 6C, K, D, Christina, B, Leonor, C, Sunny, C. Pakilagay lang po yung number. Ay, si Annabelle gustong mas mahirap. Is that sarcasm or gusto mo talaga? I will save you one, Annabelle. Hula, okay lang hula. Kung minsan nahuhula tayo sa let. Pero importante yung parang hypothetic, intellectual hula. Intelligent hula. Sige, here. Pasensya na kayo, but walang excuse, no? Because this is basic physics. Or sometimes they call it basic science. So we need to review this one. Well, that's the logic why we have a review. To others who might feel this one to be easy, pasensya na po, nagre-review lang tayo. So, kalma lang tayo dyan. Number 6, this is our equation. There are 3 major equations in uniformly accelerating objects. So, one of the equations is the distance is equal to VIT plus AT squared over 2. We know A already is acceleration, T time, and VI as the initial velocity. So, because we started from rest, so we can already take out VIT here and eventually reduce to D equals AT squared over 2. Ang D equals AT squared over 2 can still be converted to this equation. T is equal to the square root of 2D over A. To somewhere mathematical, then you don't need to memorize T equals square root of 2D over A kasi all you need to memorize is D equals VIT plus AT squared over 2. All you need to do is convert the formula. But for others who might find it one difficult, then you can memorize T equals square root of 2D over A. But this equation is only true if the object starts at initial velocity of 0. Unknowns. So 24 meters and acceleration is 3. Our time becomes 4 seconds. Okay, and that is our answer. Letter C, 4 seconds. Congratulations for those who got it right. To some who wish to get all the formulas for uniformly accelerated motion, then maybe you can take a picture of this. Now, these are the formulas if you're talking about uniformly accelerated motion. Number 7. This is theoretical, no? Suppose that while walking in a straight road at a uniform speed, remember, straight road, uniform speed, very important considerations. You throw your cap straight up about 2 meters without breaking stride. Straight up about 2 meters without breaking stride or speed. So you continue to walk at a straight path in a straight road. Where will the cap land, assuming that all kinds of friction are neglected? Okay. So will it eventually fall behind you, in front of you? It will be suspended in air, or right back in your hand, or right back in your hand. What do you think? You threw the cap up. You keep on walking without stop and average uniform speed. What will happen to the cap? In problems like this, if it is not clear that there's air friction, therefore the presumption is there's no air friction. So, but there's some items where the reviewer or the test maker already places that assume that there's air friction or assume that air exists. No, kung wala, meaning the assumption is there's no air friction. Okay, and this is happening in a vacuum. Answers number 7. D, A, B, D. Kung minsan masaya rin kung divided yung mga tao sa answers nila. Kasi that goes to show that the review is really a need. Okay? So again, keep on answering. Ano lang, huwag matakot make mistakes. Celebrate if you get the right answer. And then learn from the mistake, if you get the wrong answer. So here, imagine natin, naglalakad tayo. We threw the cap. What will happen after 2 meters of stride? Okay, the answer is it will go back right at you. Okay? Remember, even if you're walking or you're in rollers, the object will still go right at you. Remember the concept of parabola? The object will move like a parabola here, but it will follow your path at the same speed. Okay, that is very counterintuitive, but that is what is happening with the ball in a vacuum and there's no air friction. Okay? Ito yung mga favorite na mga questions, no, ng mga physics teachers usually because it confuses people. So it goes back right to your hand because an object that is free falling or parabolic in nature, mga parabolic objects, in a vacuum, they move at the same horizontal speed. So that is why you will still have it in your hand after 2 meters. Okay, I hope you are learning along the way. Let us proceed to number 8. How can you increase your momentum as you run? How can you increase your momentum as you run? You run faster, you sit down, or by sitting down, or by slowing down, or by stopping suddenly. Okay? So you notice, if we talk about momentum, we don't just ask about the definition of momentum, no? That is too low in terms of understanding. Now, if you want to test your understanding with momentum, most of the time, the questions are practical. Okay? So how can you increase your momentum as you run? Okay, that is number 8. Dan says A, Shorian A, Marilu A. Okay, parang sure ball na to, no? So of course, it's A, but take note of the concept of momentum, no? Momentum can be increased either or together, no? Or with mass and velocity, because P or momentum is equal to mv or mass and velocity. Ang mahirap naman kasi na for the object to increase its mass, no, as it spontaneously, no, that's impossible. So normally we have control over velocity. So the greater the velocity, the greater the momentum. Okay, now let's proceed to electromagnetism. A step-down transformer has a 900-turn coil and an 18-turn coil. The primary coil is powered by 100 volts AC current. What is the secondary voltage in volts? Okay. Sounds complicated, but for others who are into physics, medyo clear sa. When you say step-down transformer, it just simply talks about what is the most common one. Your charger. Your charger is an example of a step-down transformer. What's inside are coils of copper. And the one near to the outlet has many coils that the one near to the charging, no, to where you are charging it. So the difference between the primary and the secondary coil will give you how much voltage will this charger give, no? So, and there's you can compute it, then eventually invent one, no, a charger of your own. So what do you think? 0.5, 2, 6, T, or 147? 9B. Lenny said 9B, 9B, 9B. Okay. Noel, B. What else? Hirap nito. Hindi na. Sorry kung mahirap, pero well, that's the logic why we have this review. It might not even appear to be difficult, no, if you look at the solution. So let's see. So when you look at transformers inside, you open your charger, it has turns like this. This is the primary. And then this is the secondary. Ito yung kung saan mo, let's say, Dito mo sinasaksak ang outlet, dito mo kinoconnect ang pangsaksak sa cellphone or sa laptop. So this is step down kasi maraming coil to mababa yung coil. And the voltage also lowers down, no, from higher voltage to lower voltage. The number of coil dictates the voltage that you have. No? They're directly proportional. So this is the equation, and this is how we solve it. Vs, the secondary voltage, over Vp, the primary voltage, is equal to the number of coil of the secondary voltage over the number of coil the primary voltage. Now, meaning Vs, it's equal to Vp times Ns over Np, or 100 volts times 18 turns over 900 turns, or 2 volts. So, isaksak sa 100 volts, ilalabas sa the other end of the charger na 2 volts na lang. Okay? So, that's a transformer. Okay, 2 volts. No? That's the answer. Congratulations for those who got the right answer. Okay, number 10. How much work is done by a girl who lifts a 0.5 kilogram book 2 meters above the ground? How much work is done by a girl who lifts a 0.5 kilogram book 2 meters above the ground? 1 joule, 4 joule, 9.8 joule, or 19.6 joules. Joules pala may S. So before I pronounce it as joules, but I was corrected by a co-teacher, dapat joule daw, so I don't know why. Maybe that's how it is pronounced, no, in France. Okay. Number 10. Answer A for Dan. About others. Kenchi, yeah, correct, no? Ang transformer can be a TLE subject question. It can be a math question or a science question. So our answers here are all A. So let's see if it's really A. It's not A. Remember we're talking about work, and work is force times distance. Or the other way of expressing it, work is weight times height, no? Or force times distance. So weight is mg and then height kasi you lifted it. So the weight of the object and then the height where you lift it. So, and g here, because we are presuming that we are doing this here on Earth at sea level, so we multiply the mass with the acceleration due to gravity, which is 9.8 meter per second squared. Don't forget that. Or don't be confused in your computation while taking the let, baka iba yung answer mo, maybe because the one who made the item presumed that G is 10 meter per second squared. Just be careful with that. Or sometimes, if may engineering background, they use 9.81 meter per second squared. Basta clear sa atin that G is 9.8 meter per second squared if it is at sea level. So that's 0.5 kilograms times 9.8 meter per second squared times the height, which is 2 meters. And you get 9.8 joule. For those who answered A, that's a clever answer kasi if you don't know the equation, what they do is they just multiply or divide, no, the givens. So that's clever, but not that clever here, especially if the one making the test knows that, well, that's how people do it. No? So this is something tricky because G is not given, but it is already presumed that you know how much G is. Let's go to number 11. From what projection angle of a gun will have at the least range or horizontal distance be obtained? 15, 45, 60, or 80 degrees. So, if you point the gun, anong angle dapat? With respect to the horizontal, no, anong angle when you point the gun? So, you will have a longer range or distance. Diba? So, you'll have, what will give you the longest distance? Number 11, what's your answer? Wala pa? Okay. Wala pang sagot. Number 11, may B tayo dito kay Chari. what? May C. Oh, may 45, no? Sherin, pakilagay na lang yung letter, no? But yeah, 45, B, C, merong A. So apparently, this is one thing that hindi pwede nating ma-presume na alam na ng lahat, no? But again, reviewing to make it easy for you when the time comes na it's really the final countdown, no? So sige, this is we're talking about the least. Okay? We're talking about the least. Remember that the one with the least range is the one that is nearest to 0 degrees. Okay? Nearest to 0 degrees and 90 degrees. Okay? So for example, 15 is the second next answer because it's 15 degrees near to 0. But 80 is the least. Okay, it's the actual answer because 80 is 10 degrees near to 90 degrees. Diba? So, ito yung 90. So, it's either nearest to 90 degrees or nearest to 0 degrees. Of course, we know that the one with the longest range is 45 degrees. That's assuming that there's no air friction. And the one that is nearest to 0 and 90 degrees will be the one with the least range. Take note of that, no? Okay. So congratulations for those who answered D. Okay, again, no? Pinalaki lang natin. So if it is 80 degrees, so may meaning pupunta sa taas and then dito. So mas smaller. Ang 15 naman dito, so 80 is somewhere here. Okay, approximately. Number 12, let's talk about pressure, the one that you feel right now. In a hill in Miagao town, the barometer reads 73 centimeters of mercury. What is the equivalent pressure in Newton per meter squared, also known as Pascal, assuming that 100,000 Pascal is equal to 76 centimeters of mercury? Okay, so let's see if you are familiar with, or you can still remember your lesson on pressure. In fact, to some, this might look complicated, but this is just simple conversion, no? Conversion of units. So if there's 100,000 pascals in 76 cm of Hg, how many pascals will there be in 73 cm of mercury or Hg? Okay, number 12. C, nakakaiyak. Ana, pasensya na ha. Hindi ko objective yung paiyakin ka. Okay. Answer is 9.621 times 10 to the 4th. So how did we get the 73 cm? So x over 100,000 Pascal is equal to 73 over 76. And x therefore is 73 cm times 100,000 Pascal divided by 76 cm. Parang kinonvert na lang yung cm of mercury to Pascal with a factor of 100,000 Pascal to 76 cm of mercury. Okay? And the picture at the right side has nothing to do with this problem, but it talks about Pascal's principle. Take note, Pascal's principle talks about putting up pressure, just like in your jack, no? Yung parang pneumatic jack. Pushing a small pressure at one side, and in this enclosed container, the pressure is increased, no? Depending on how much is the width of this piston. So ganito yung concept ng pneumatic pump, no, for your cars. Okay, number 13. Which of the following objects has the greatest momentum? Okay, you have the choices there. Kindly check. Saan ba? A, B, C, D has the greatest momentum. Which of the following objects has the greatest momentum? Remember, momentum is mass times velocity. But take note also in the choices that the units are different. You have grams, kilograms, meter per second. So that's part of the trick. Okay, so number 13, we have D, Melissa D, Jennifer D, Marifel B. Okay. Okay. Very fast, no? Very fast sila naman sumagot. But you really have to compute here, no? And check. To some, they just look at it and then mentally compute it. Whatever works for you. Okay. There are also tricks, for example, converting kilometer per hour to meter per second, if you wish to really compare the two. Okay, so the answer here is C, the cart of mass 70 kilogram moving at 0.6 meter per second. Some of you will ask, sir, bakit hindi B? Remember, the mass in B is in grams. So that's just 0.2 kilogram. No? Letter C uses 70 kilograms. So mas mabigat. The more mabigat that is moving, the greater the momentum. Take note. Sir, bakit hindi A? Remember, meter per second, no? Although 500 meter per second, but it's 10 grams ang mass. Number 14. How much charge passes through a point in an electrical circuit in 2 minutes if the current is 3 amperes? Okay, pasensya na, no? Medyo technical. But again, it has to do with electricity. So kung meron kang charge that will pass to a point na may in 2 minutes, no? Paano yun? And current is 3.33 amperes. How much ang charge? How much ang charge? No? Okay, medyo mahirap-hirap to. But yeah, let's see kung may mga si Kenichi may sagot na, no? Ano ba yan? Let's see, I hope, yeah, I'll proceed na lang to the answer. The answer is 360 coulombs. No, C, by the way, is coulomb here. And again, no, even beyond the item and the answer, at least, no, for example, here we know that C is coulomb. At least we are reminded of it, etc. Now here, take note that charge is equal to the current and the time it takes for it to flow in the current. And all we need to do is to multiply 2 by 3. 2 by 3. Multiply the time to the number of amperes. But take note, this is 2 minutes and it should still be converted into seconds. So there are how many seconds in a minute? 60. Dahil 2 minutes siya, 120. So 120 seconds times 3 amps is equal to 360 coulombs. Before we proceed, take note of these concepts. No, first, that electrons are the ones moving around, and the protons stay in the nucleus unless otherwise it's a very abnormal event, no, like nuclear reaction. So it's the electrons that are moving, and the electrons are the ones responsible for having this electric current. Also, take note that just like in magnets, electricity, the charges have positive and negative, and those with the same charges repel, and those that are different attract each other. Number 15. The electric motor of a toy car runs on a 4.5 volt source. How many joules of electric energy are changed into mechanical energy if a total charge of 2 coulombs passes through the toy car? Medyo complicated na, no? So, siguro, maganda na lang i-move forward ko to and explain how it is, Then, let's focus on things that pwede natin mabigyan ng time more. So, we talk about energy here, electrical energy. And how is electrical energy computed? Electrical energy can be computed, meaning it can be computed in any other ways, in different ways. But we can also compute it by multiplying the charge and its voltage. So the charge is 2 coulombs and the voltage is 4.5. Multiplying it, you will get 9 joules. That's your mechanical energy. Okay, so again, apologies for those who find this one complicated. But for those who wish to understand, electrical energy, parang ganito, no? So kung meron kang elepante here and merong inclined plane, the elepante will move, will have a kinetic energy, high kinetic energy. To have high electric energy, the one that increases your kinetic energy to, your electrical energy to be high is your voltage and charge. Dapat your charge here is the elephant, and your voltage is the inclined plane. The higher the inclined plane gradient, and the bigger your charge, in this case the elephant, the greater your energy or the greater your electrical energy. Just this, that's how simple the concept of electrical energy is. Okay, and also don't forget the equation for electrical energy and charge. Okay, anyway, you can still review this one no, along the way. Number 16, eto, let's go to basics. Now, what fundamental force that needs a greater amount of mass in order to be felt by humans? So what fundamental force? Take note, there are 4 fundamental forces. These are the fundamental forces, A, B, C, D. Among the 4 fundamental forces of nature, which needs a greater amount of mass in order to be felt by humans? Okay, that's number 16. Electromagnetic ba, gravitational, strong, or weak force? Okay. Number 16. Pasensya na Elmar, no? Sakit na. Sige, I'll slow down. Let's go to number 16. Medyo nag-slow down tayo. Pasensya na, Editha. So Dan, that's the answer. B, A. Si Dolly, C. Ano ba? Fundamental force. Okay, basic to ha. Sige. So our answer, may mga answers na tayo. Salamat. Marilu, C. Leonor, B. Jan, C. So let's see. So the one that needs greater amount of mass in order to be felt by humans is gravitational force. Okay? So the rest are so strong that you don't need greater amount of mass anymore. But gravitational force, remember that all of us, because we all have mass, we have our own gravitational forces. But it takes a big earth, no? Or a big moon or a big sun for us to feel the gravitational force. Okay? And take note that these 4 fundamental forces are represented, no, in many ways, no. Let's say, for example, the weakest of all is gravity. The strongest of all is strong force. Take note that sometimes in exams, in tests, ang tinatanong, which among the 4 is the weakest? Or which among the 4 is the strongest? Or sometimes may mga tanong na arrange the 4 fundamental forces from strongest to weakest. Or maybe, which among the fundamental forces has to do with charges, electric charges. So we should know how to classify, differentiate, compare, and contrast them. Okay? Here, let's go to water waves. Suppose 10 water waves pass a point in 5 seconds. What is the frequency? 10 water waves in 5 seconds. So what's the frequency? Next question. How many water waves would pass a point in 2 seconds if the wave frequency was 2 times greater? So let's start with, choose A, B, C, D. No? Take note, kung ako mag-answer nito, I'll start with the first sentence. Suppose 10 water waves pass a point in 5 seconds. So anong frequency nito? Kasi hertz is frequency, di ba? That's the first answer. So 10 waves in 5 seconds. Frequency is the number of waves in a particular time. So therefore, frequency is 10 divided by 5, which is 2 hertz, or 2 waves over time, over second. So meaning to say, in sentences 1 and 2, we are reduced to choosing between A and B. Kasi alam na natin that the frequency is 2 hertz. So the third sentence asks, how many water waves would pass a point in 2 seconds if the wave frequency was 2 times? So meaning to say, kung 2 hertz, what if the frequency is 4 hertz, meaning 4 waves per second? Then it passes 2 seconds, no, in a point. So kung 4 waves per second, tapos 2 seconds siya, therefore, there will be 8 waves per second. So therefore, the answer is B. Okay? I hope many of you got the right answer. B is the answer here. Okay? How did we get the frequency again? That's 10 divided by 5. 10 water waves over 5 seconds. How did we get the number of waves? We multiply, it says 2 times. So we multiply the frequency into 2. That's 4 hertz. So if the frequency is 2 times or 4 hertz, therefore 4 waves per second, what if it passes to a point in 2 seconds? So that's 4 times 2. So that's 8 waves. Okay. Ito, I hope everyone will answer this one. Please answer in the chat box. What kind of energy that may have been the least linked with the sun? What kind of energy that may have been the least linked with the sun? Let's see. Number 18. What kind of energy that may have been the least linked with the sun? Let's see your answer. Wala pang sagot. Medyo, talaga, naglalag tayo for 10 seconds or less. Is it biomass, geothermal, hydroelectric, or wind? Let's see. B, D. Answers are B, D. Okay. B, D, B, D, C. Okay. Divided na naman tayo. Mailing, Gaydel, DC. Sige, let's see. Okay. What kind of energy that may have been the least linked with the sun? The answer is geothermal. Remember that biomass is coming from plants and animals that are directly linked with the sun. Hydroelectric, the reason why tides are going up is because of the sun. The wind, the reason why wind exists is because of the sun giving heat difference from one point to the other. Therefore, the wind moves from hot to cold. Okay? So, hydroelectric, wind, and biomass are directly linked to the sun, but geothermal, that's the heat under the bottom of the earth, which is not really directly linked with the sun. Some are saying that the heat underneath the earth is not even coming from the sun. Well, if you check the history of the solar system. Okay? So what theory explains light as a particle? Let's make this. Explains light as a particle. Siguro this one, I will skip this one, waiting for your answer. The answer here is Newton's corpuscular theory. Now, there are many theories regarding the particle of light. And you have the Newton's one-way particle, that's the corpuscular theory. Huygens, another scientist, thought that most likely light moves like a water wave. Fresnel explains light in a form of transverse wave. Maxwell as EM wave. And Penrose as a wave packet. Penrose just received, last year, received this Nobel Prize Award in Physics. No? So there are many other ways to explain what light is. Hanggang ngayon, nobody has finally determined what it is made up of. So many are in theories form. Number 20, when cellulose acetate is rubbed, it loses some electrons. What is the charge of the object that rubbed the acetate? So from now on, if it's computational, I will not wait for your answers anymore. But this one, I will in the interest of time. So we have an acetate rubbed and it loses some electrons. What is the charge of the object that rubbed the acetate? Negative, positive, zero, or cannot be determined? Let's see your answers. Number 20. Okay, Dan A, Kenichi A, Karen A, Alvi B, Christine Acabo B, Shelby B, Meron kang acetate na rub mo. I think kung nag-overhead projector pa tayo before, we can feel if you rub the acetate, no, there's something there that causes goosebumps. Okay, the answer here is negative. Negative. Okay, so remember, if you have a cellulose here and the duster is the object, no? If the duster and the cellulose, initially they have the same positives and negatives. Excuse me. If you rub them, then the acetate, because the electrons of acetates are less faithful to acetate, so they tend to transfer and move a little bit, flirt around. No, that's my term when I talk to my students. No? So they tend to flirt around. So after rubbing them, some of the electrons of the acetate go to the duster. And so, making the acetate positively charged, it has more protons and or less electrons, and then making the rubber, in this case the duster, negatively charged. Okay, and if you put them together again in time, eventually it will go back to this situation where they're balanced. So it needs a little bit of imagination. No? Again, this one is the case. No, after rubbing, some of the electrons went to the duster, making the duster negatively charged, making the acetate positively charged. Okay, so take note. It also works with hair in comb. Okay. Yeah, this has computation, so medyo I'll make this fast. No, I'll not wait for your answer anymore. The pen is thrown vertically upward with an initial velocity 29.4. How long will it take the body to reach the highest point? Remember, last time is 19.6, so then we threw it up. How many seconds will it stay on air? In this case, you threw it at 29.4 up, and then how many seconds will it take for it to reach the highest point? Meaning to say, the point where it will have zero velocity. So when you throw the object up, it slows down. When the object goes down, it moves faster and faster. It accelerates. Okay, so the answer here is, in fact, by just looking at it, you don't need to compute. No, all you need to do is to divide 29.4 by 9.8 kasi the object slows down by 9.8 meter per second every second. And the object that is falling moves faster by 9.8 meter per second every second. So in this case, 29.4 divided by 9.8, making it 3 seconds. Okay? 22. Diretso na naman. A television, you don't need to answer this, but let me explain this one. A television has a resistance of 480 ohms. Ohms is a unit of resistance. It is designed for connection to a 220 volt line. What is the power rating of the television in watts? No? So maraming concepts dito. We talk about resistance, voltage or potential difference, the other term for that, and power, no, which is in watts. So the answer here, I will first, please be mindful with the equation. This is one example of you don't need to memorize the equation, just convert them. Power is VI, or voltage times a number of amperes, or the number of amperes, or the current. And the other way of expressing it is V squared over R, or I squared, R. So if we follow the P equals V squared over R, because V and R are given, 480 and 220. So we just place all the numbers here and we get 100.8 watts. Okay? Here, again, I will not wait for your answer here for the meantime, in the interest of time, but let me explain this. 23 talks about oscillation or waves. A spring wave oscillates up and down 2 complete cycles in each second. So 2 cycles per second. So meaning kung 2 cycles per second, or 2 waves per second, then the frequency is 2, di ba? 2 cycles per second, or 2 hertz. Pero ang tanong, what is the period? Okay? But we know that period is the inverse of frequency. And since we know how much is the frequency, that is 2 hertz, so period is equal to 1 over 2. 1 over f, which is 2. And that is 0.5 seconds. Okay? So we can imagine the cycle, the number of cycle in a particular time. Okay. Oh, another computation. Pasensya na, no? So, this one is another. If the length of a slinky wave is 10 meters and its frequency is 2 hertz, what is the velocity of the wave? No, the formula's velocity is equal to wavelength times frequency. And so we just multiply 2 hertz to 10 meters. Again, you can review this one using this video, recorded video. Because of time limitation, I do not need to wait. We don't need to wait for your answers. Another one here. Siguro after this, we can have some easy questions. Water waves with a wavelength of 2.3 meters pass the anchor chain of a boat at a rate of 36 waves every 30 seconds. It talks about the speed of the waves. Take note that the speed of the wave is equal to frequency and wavelength. So we know the wavelength, which is 2.3 meters. So frequency times wavelength. How do we get the frequency? The frequency is simply 36 over 30 seconds. So 36 waves over 30 seconds. So how to compute this? 36 divided by 30 times 2.3. And you get 2.8 meter per second. Oh, ito. Hindi naman to, this is not computational. So, analysis. Okay, I need your answers here, ladies and gentlemen. Which of the following values of electric charge is not allowed by nature as prescribed by the law of quantization of charge? Note that charge here, or QE, means 1 electron charge. So saan? Sa apat, 0.44 and 4 times 10 ang hindi totoo or hindi nag-i-exist. Okay, kindly place your answers in the chat box. Kindly place your answers in the chat box. Number 26. Thank you. Para, ayan. Dan A, Shelby B, Kenichi D, Juliet B, RV B, Donna Taylor, 26 lang. Walang answer. RV B, Marifiel D. Okay. Let us try to analyze. Sinabi that QE means 1 electron charge. You talk about quantization of charge. Okay? And so the answer is B. Take note that a charge is always in discrete way, meaning to say hindi pwede na fractional siya. So there's no such thing as charge in a fraction, 1/2 charge. Hindi pwede yun, or 0.4 charge. Okay, take note ha, if you see a value in the choices na fractional yung charge, that is non-existent. Because in the world of the quantum world, there's no such thing as half a charge. Okay? Now let's go to logic gates, especially for those who are taking up TLE. TLE, physics, or ano pa ba? I don't know, logic is also included in math, no? So here, some logic gate that will give you an output of equal to 1 only when all inputs are 1. If not, then the output is 0. So kung 1, dapat kung input 1, output 1. Kung hindi input 1, therefore ang output 0. So anong gate that follows that? Okay, answers number 27. Wala pang sagot? Okay, we are almost halfway pa lang. So let us do this fast, no? So gagawin natin, kung medyo may computation, diretso na ako. Kung concept-based, then I will add more details to it. Okay? Sige, 27. Lenny is B, K is C, Mai is C. Nasaan si Mai? Nawala. Maylin, no? B pala. Si Lowell C. Gladys B. So saan dito? The answer is A. Okay. So let's see bakit A. Ang AND gate, no? Kung input is 1, the output is 1. Okay, if the input is 0, the output is 0. 1 and 0 are simply yeses and nos, no? Or on and off. 1 usually represents on or yes, and 0 represents usually off. Okay, or 0. Okay, or no. So OR gate output is 1 if either of the inputs are 1. Okay, and gates output is 1 if both the inputs are 1. So kung ang input mo, both are 1, therefore this is 1. If this is 1 and this is 0, this becomes 0. Ang OR gate, yeah, if this is 1 and this is 0, this is still 1. Diba? Or if this is 0 and this is 1, this is still 1. Or 1, 1 equals to 1. So this is very important for math, science, and TLE. Now let's go to unit. This is very basic and true to all science subjects. Which of the following is a unit of power that is equivalent to a watt? What is the equivalent of a watt in unit? One of the ways to answer this is to go back to the definition of what a watt is. Remember, watt is a unit of power. So ano bang unit of power? Power is work over time. So anong formula ng work? Anong formula ng time? Anong unit ng work? Anong unit ng time? So maybe your line of thinking can be that one in order to get the right answer. Let's see, number 28 answers A. Exactly, A, correct. No? So the answer is A because joule is unit of work and S is unit of time. Watt is a unit of power and power is work over time. Letter B represents force. Okay, Newton meter, this is work. Newton. For force times distance is work, di ba? This joules over S is power. Newton per meter squared is Pascal. So this is Pascal, this is joule, this is Newton, and this is watt. In exams, it may not be the watt that is being asked. Maybe it's the Newton. So better be familiar with the unit and how it is being expressed. Okay, let's go to the guitar strings. What must be increased in the guitar string in order to increase the pitch produced by the string when plucked? So yes, there's a science in strings. And alam naman natin, no, if we lessen the length, then the pitch becomes high, no? But here, tinatanong, anong pwedeng ma-increase sa guitar para mag-increase din yung pitch? Okay? Is it the length? Kung i-increase mo bang length ng guitar string, tataas ba yung pitch? Is it the density or the tension? Okay? So the answer here is number 29, D. So 29 is tension, correct. In reviewing, remember, tension, the higher the tension, the greater the pitch. But when you talk about mass, it's inverse. The greater the mass, the more thick it is, the lesser the pitch. If you talk about length, it's also inverse, no? The higher the length, the lesser the pitch. So the one that is directly proportional is tension. Okay. Number 30, between an astronaut in a fast-speeding aircraft and a person resting on Earth, what quantity has an unchanging value? Ayan. Palaging tinatanong to, na-notice ko, no? Ano yung hindi nag-change na value? Regardless of where you are. Sa labas ng Earth or nasa Earth. Length of an object, duration of time travel, velocity of an object, or the velocity of light. Okay, answers? Number 30, what's your answer? What quantity has an unchanging value? Okay, Dan answered it fast, and so the answer is velocity of light. But take note of one of my many people's favorite equations. This is the equation that proves that time changes. No, time is not constant here. So Einstein made this one, a time dilation equation. It says here that the faster the object, the slower the time that the object has. Number 31. Which of the following statements show the chief similarity between nuclear fission and nuclear fusion? What makes fission and fusion similar? Okay. Energy is converted to the mass of the atom. In both processes, a heavy nucleus is split into lighter ones. Light nuclei join to form a heavier one, or mass is converted to energy. It's kind of like chemistry also, and a little bit of general science. So what makes nuclear fission and fusion similar? Number 31, answers? Okay, marami tayong answers na A. Pero is that really the right answer? May D. Okay, let's see. The answer is D. Mass is converted to energy. Either way. Remember when you say nuclear fission, okay, that is the splitting of atoms. And nuclear fusion is the fusion, the combination of atoms, putting it together. Okay? But either way, they both, okay, convert mass to energy. Okay? In a large amount. But remember also the E equals mc squared, what the variables represent. Okay, here, this is computational, so you don't need to answer this. But let me clarify this. No? The batteries in a transistor radio are connected in series. Each battery has a current of 6 amperes. Ano yung maximum current? So the answer here is 6. No? If the batteries are placed in series, so what you have to, well, the charge or the current is always the same. No? Even if there are 3 or 4 batteries or 5 batteries connected in series, the current is still the same. Okay? But if they are placed in parallel, then the current increases. Okay? Okay. Why? Well, that is why we placed that's why, well, this one has to do with meron siyang application in many ways, no? But I will not elaborate on that for now. Okay, here, you don't need to compute, but maybe mental math will do. I need your answers here. Which of the following conditions has the smallest kinetic energy? In a physics book of mass m in a velocity of 4v, mass 2m with a velocity of 3v, mass 3m with a velocity of 2v, and mass 4m with a velocity of v. So just try to mental math that. Remember that kinetic energy is equal to mv squared over 2. Kinetic energy is mv squared over 2. M is mass. V is velocity. No? mv squared over 2. So which has the smallest kinetic energy? mv squared over 2. Okay. Answers, number 33. Oh, A. Okay. Yeah, it seems A because you have 4V for velocity. Take note, however, mv squared, no? So we squared the velocity. But take note, we also multiplied the squared velocity to mass. Therefore, our answer here is D. Okay? So, for those who answered A, remember, sinisquare natin yung velocity. So, if we square 4V, that makes it 16V. So, lalaki. But, in letter D, our V is just 1. 1V, V lang siya. And our M is just 4. So, the kinetic energy for letter D is just simply 4. The kinetic energy for A is 16. That's 4 squared times 1m. The kinetic energy of B is 3 squared 9 times 2. That is 18. That is, letter B has the greatest, no, among all kinetic energy. Letter C is 2 squared, that's 4 times 3, 12. No? 12 yung value niya. So D has the lowest kinetic energy. Okay? So for everyone, no, you don't need to compute. Ako usually as a teacher, I usually give tests or items like this no hindi necessarily computation but analysis, no? And sayang, no? Niligay noon kanugon, no? Sayang talaga kasi it might look difficult pero all you need to do is just to multiply it using the equation. So sayang yung score, no? Kaya if you can please remember things like this, it really give you a big advantage. Okay. Now let's proceed to 34. Okay, pasensya na kayo sa mga pop-up no ng mga messenger pop-up. Which statement does not agree with Coulomb's law? The force of attraction or repulsion blank. Okay. Siguro wag na lang sagutin to kasi it takes a lot of time. Pero this simply shows Coulomb's law and let us review Coulomb's law, no? So Coulomb's law, the answer is D. Not agree. Take note, not agree with Coulomb's law. This is Coulomb's law. F is equal to K, Q1, Q2 over R squared. The force of attraction, electrical attraction, electrostatic attraction, or repulsion is equal to the constant, okay, electrostatic constant, times charge of the first object and charge of the second object divided by the square of the distance between them, that is R squared. Meaning to say, it's an inverse square relationship. The farther the two charges are, the lesser, no, the lesser the effect with each other or the charge with each other. So D is wrong because if you can see, ang force of attraction and repulsion is not inversely proportional to the distance between them. Okay? But it's supposed to be inverse square. Nandito inverse square. Between two... walang inverse square. Supposed to be D. For D to be correct, it should be is inversely square proportional or in an inverse square proportional to the distance between them. Because kung R lang dito sa equation, then inversely proportional. Kaya lang R squared eh. So that's the trick. That makes letter D the answer, and that makes letter D difficult to choose as the answer because of the trick here that the R is squared. Okay? So R is squared. So the relationship of F and R is inverse square. Okay? Inverse because it's 1 over R squared. The relationship of F to Q1 is direct. No? So direct relationship. The relationship of F to Q2 is also direct. But the relationship of F to R squared is inverse square relationship. The farther the R, the lesser the strength in square form. Okay, here, don't answer this. This is not computational. Let me answer this fast na lang, no? In the interest of time. If you talk about friction has relationship with this mu here. The mu here is called coefficient of friction. Every two objects that are in contact with each other has a coefficient of friction depending on what object it is. Here, it shows that glass versus glass has high coefficient of friction. Can you still remember a glass in parallel with another glass? Diba, it's difficult for them to separate the two. Diba? Or if the one glass will move to the other glass, it's difficult for them to move, no? Glass against glass. But wood against wood is easier. That is why the coefficient of friction of wood against wood is 0.4. So ang tanong dito, friction is lesser between. So obviously, friction is lesser between wood and wood because of the coefficient. So the coefficient sign may make it look difficult, the question, but it's already a given that the lower the coefficient of friction, the lesser the friction between them. So this is the equation. frictional force is equal to coefficient of friction times the normal force. The other term for normal force is the weight, no? Its weight downwards, no, perpendicular to the ground. So that's just wood and wood very easily. Okay? So here, please answer this. For an F1 race car moving in uniform circular motion, A, the direction is changing but the speed is constant. B, the speed is changing but the direction is constant. C, the velocity is constant. D, both speed and direction are changing. We're talking about uniform circular motion. So simply, the question is simply asking you, this simply asks you kung ano ba ang alam mo sa uniform circular motion? How deep do you understand uniform circular motion? So let's have your answers. Number 36, A, B, C, or D. For uniform circular motion to exist, ano yung truths na nangyayari? So which is correct? Okay, that is 36. 36. Give me your answers. 36. A, Dan, Christine, B. Okay. For Dan, it's A. For Christine, it's B. The speed is changing, but the direction is constant. How about others? Karen, B. Corazon, C. Isai, B. Juliet, B. Annalisa, B. Okay, let's see. Uniform circular motion. Okay, so the answer is A. In a uniform circular motion, look at the figure here. The object moves in a circular path, but the object is always, at a particular time, changing its direction, but the speed is assumed to be constant as it moves in a circular path. So therefore, A is the answer in this item. Okay? The speed does not change in a uniform circular motion, therefore B is wrong. The velocity is not constant because it keeps on changing its direction. Excuse me. Remember, for the velocity to be constant, the direction must be the same. But not here in this case because it moves in a circular motion. Okay? And D is far from the answer. Okay. Here, I need your answers here also. A ball falling down the floor, blank kinetic energy and blank potential energy. This is one of the test maker's favorite items or question because it sounds easy and it's really easy if you understand the concept, and it's also very practical. For a ball falling down, does it gain kinetic energy or does it lose kinetic energy? Ganun din sa potential and kinetic. Remember, the item is falling down. So what's your answer? When the ball falls down, is it losing or gaining kinetic energy? Losing or gaining potential energy? Let's see your answers. Follow your heart, ma'am. Grabe. Ano to? Ligwak. Anong meaning ng ligwak, Izay? B, Dan. Sige, may B, may D, may C. No? Walang A. Okay, good. Okay, first, when you analyze the item, take note that kinetic and potential energy for a falling body is always inverse. Okay, they're always inverse. Meaning to say, letters A and C are wrong. No, they're not in your choices already. So take note of that. If it's falling or it's going up, A and C are highly likely not the right answers. So it's between B and D. If the ball is falling down, is it moving fast or moving slow? Diba? When the ball falls, diba? It moves faster and faster. That's why if you want to kill yourself, you go up to the highest building, diba? Because when you fall, it goes faster and faster. Of course, that's a bad kind of example. Pero you get my point, diba? Or if you throw the object up, it's a reverse. It slows down when it goes up. So therefore, the answer here is it gains kinetic energy because it moves faster and faster, but it loses potential energy because it goes nearer to the ground. Remember, potential energy is mgh. It is dependent on the height of the object. The nearer it is from the ground, the lesser the potential energy. Okay? So, many got the right answers. Rachel got it, Loreto got it, Izay got it, Lisa got it. Congratulations. Here, another thing very practical. The characteristics of the pressure of a fluid is that it is blank. Okay? Is it A, B, or C? Greater at the bottom, exerted unequally. Greater when its volume is bigger or weaker at the bottom. What's your answer? Number 38. We have 25 minutes more. And we are barely at the last. So let's move this. Let's move fast. What's your answer? Number 38. Please place the number when you give the answer. Please place your number. Okay, so Ramon Gonzalez. Okay, Christine. C. Let's see. Oh, nako. It's a misnomer always, no? That the pressure is high when the volume is bigger. The answer here is B. Remember that regardless of the volume of the fluid, okay, like here in the picture, regardless of the volume of the fluid, because they are the same point, no, with respect to the ground, these points, regardless of the volume of the fluid, these points are sharing the same pressure. Okay? Okay? But it also says that the lower the point, the greater the pressure. Diba? Why? Because remember that when you talk about fluid pressure, the lower it is, the more molecules that it is carrying, di ba? From the top, no? So kung nasa taas siya, lesser, nasa baba, greater. So if you poke a hole here in this container, you will see that the water that the liquid that will flow outside has longer range, no, than the one on top. That also goes to show that the pressure is high at the bottom. Okay? Ignore. Number 39, the relative density of a substance is blank. When you talk about relative density, what do you think is the right answer here? No, if you complete the sentence, is it equal to the density of water? The difference between the density of the substance and the density of water? Product of the density of the substance and the density of water? Or the ratio of the density of the substance to the density of water? What do you think is the concept of relative density? Answers, please. Let's see. Your answers. Okay lang, Karen, kahit mali again, no? Push lang ng push. So, some answered D already. Is that the right answer? Who knows? Okay, look.
Ayun, nawala si Doc H, no? Nawala si Doc H. Baka naman nagka-brown out si Doc H. Okay, he's coming back. Ayan na. Okay, Doc H is back.
Wala ako, ma'am. Bakit pala?
Ayun.
Sorry, nawala ako. Ano kaya? May pinindot ako. Sorry, dinosaur lang po.
Ayun.
Sorry, Ken. Sorry, I'll make this one fast kasi we still have a lot of items. Hanggang 60 lang tayo. Ala. Am I still around, ma'am? Okay na. So sige. So pasensya po. So kumakain ata si Ma'am Mek.
Yes, sir, we can see you. Kumakain po. Breakfast po tayo.
Breakfast pala dyan. Nawala pa si Doc Ligwak na Aladdin. Sige. Ang topic natin, I hope you can still see my topic? So, share screen. Okay. Ayan, very good. So, sa relative density na tayo, diretso ko lang ha. Ang answer dito is letter D, correct kayo, most of you. So, relative density is the ratio of the density of the substance to the density of water. So, take note that if the relative density is 1.0, therefore that is water. If the relative density is, let's say, 13 point something, no, that's mercury. So, in fact, in one of the items, may item doon na sinabi, if you know the relative density of the object, you know what object that is. Okay? If the relative density is below 1, that means that substance, for example, or object, floats in water because water is 1.0. Diba? If the object is more than 1.0, therefore, that one sinks in water. So maraming application yung concept ng relative density. It tells you which floats with what, no? So like oil is on top here because it has lesser density, relative density. Water is I think oil is 0.9, depende sa oil, no? And then honey is more thick, and so if you place it with water, honey will subside down. Okay, number 40. I will do this one fast, no? Sorry, in the interest of time, we only have 17 minutes. So number 40, what is true about work is that it is, and the answer is, you can have your answer already mentally. What is true about work? So ang gagawin ko ngayon for 21 items, diretso ko, no? Kung meron pang time mamaya latter part, I'll ask you to answer it. But please, give your answer kahit mentally lang, or you can place it in the chat box, no? Just for everybody to know that you are still part and you're joining in the conversation. So number 40, pabalik-balik yung concept ng work, power, at saka energy, because that is what natural science all about, no? Even in chemistry. So take note lang, no? Walang problema kung mabalik-balik. We call that repetition, no? In our own way of proceeding, but it really helps, no? Especially in review. So what is true about work? The answer is, it's done when an object moves some distance due to an applied force, because work is equal to force times distance. And if distance is 0, there's no work. So to some, for example, who are just carrying the load and who are not moving at all, then even if it's tiresome, then you're not working in the context of science, because you need to move for you to do work. And sometimes force is not in the same direction of the work. So like force here is up. So sometimes you use this equation, work is equal to FD cosine theta, for you to solve for work. Okay? So they're just the same. No, they're just the same. And the theta here is 0 if the work and the force and the distance are just the same in direction. When the velocity of a moving body is reduced to 1/2, no, may mga questions na ganito eh. You're talking about velocity of a body reduced to 1/2. So tanong, inertia is also reduced to 1/2. Is that a correct sentence? Or to complete the sentence, or its momentum is also reduced to 1/2, or kinetic energy is also reduced to 1/2, or potential energy is also reduced to 1/2. You can only answer this item if you know the concept of inertia, momentum, energy, and potential energy. So that's the demand. So inertia, for example, has nothing to do with velocity. So therefore, we can strike out inertia already. Diba? Okay, sige. Diretso ta siguro sa answer nito, number 41. The answer is momentum. Bakit? Because momentum is mass times velocity. It says here, when the velocity of moving body is reduced to 1/2, because momentum and velocity are directly proportional, then momentum is also reduced to 1/2. Correct siya. Bakit hindi correct si kinetic? Kinetic energy is mv squared over 2. So kung ang velocity is reduced to 1/2, ang kinetic energy is reduced supposed to be to 1/4, not 1/2. Saan ko kinuha ang 1/4? Sa v squared. mv squared over 2. Meaning kung ang v daw is 1/2, ano ang kinetic energy? So v squared is 1/2 squared and 1/2 squared is 1/4. Okay? So therefore, wrong because the sentence can only be complete if we say kinetic energy is also reduced to 1/4. Potential energy is mgh. So potential energy in its equation has nothing to do with velocity, both like inertia, no? So therefore, potential energy is not the right answer. So if you analyze this, A and D are automatic, no? Wrong answers. If you know the concept of potential energy and inertia. Kinetic energy can be the answer, kaya lang V squared. So dapat 1/4 siya. And you end up with letter B. So 41. So another problem on power. Again, you need not answer this one, but mas maganda if you try to answer this. Parang kumukuha ka rin ng let. 30-kilogram boy climbed a tree at 4 meters high in 10 seconds. Ano yung power niya? Okay? Ano yung power niya? Okay, take note ha. May mga questions kasi kung minsan na tinatanong din, ang isa ginawa niya in this number of seconds, ang isa ginawa niya in this number of seconds. Which between the two has greater power? Or which between the two has greater work? Yung pala, the same lang naman yung work nila. So, you need to know how to compute this. So, the answer here is 117.6. Because power is work over time, but work here, it can also be weight times height. Okay? And weight is mg. So that's why power is mgh. Diba? So, kasi, hindi naman, kung alam nyo nga ang mgh over time as an equation for power, it's okay. Kung hindi, at saka alam lang natin is work over time, pwede pa rin natin ma-derive yung equation to give us an equation that fits into the given. So put together here, imagine, no, given, kahit wala yung G, it's already a given that you know the value of G. So I just used 9.81 here. Even if it's 9.8, it will still yield the same value. So this is it. No, kilogram meter squared per seconds cube is also watts. Okay, and that is our answer. Okay. 43. If the moon will decelerate a little slower, it will blank. Meaning if the moon will slow down a little slower, slow down more, decelerate, no? What will happen? So the answer is, it will eventually move towards the Earth, or toward the Earth. So bakit? Remember that the moon is continuously being sucked by the Earth and also by the sun. Okay? But the sun, the Earth has stronger gravitational force with the moon as compared to the sun. Why? Because the Earth is nearer to the moon. Okay? Even if the sun has greater mass. So, it continues to suck the moon, and it only remains to be there circling the Earth because it is moving fast, as fast as now. But if it will slow down, then it will be sucked by the Earth. Okay? In fact, if it will move faster, then it will go out of the Earth's area. The same is true with the Earth revolving around the sun. So it's really a miracle, no? Now for the Earth to move that speed, just enough speed for it to remain in its orbit and in its revolution. Okay. Number 44. If you reduce the velocity of a bicycle by half with the radius of revolution remaining constant, the centripetal acceleration of the bicycle moving on a racetrack will. Okay? Look at the item, no? Maraming words. Pero it simply gives you the idea na it has to do with centripetal acceleration. Okay? The movement of the object in a circular path. What is its centripetal acceleration? So, if you answer this, you focus on the formula of centripetal acceleration here. Centripetal acceleration is v squared over r. Sometimes small letter r, sometimes big letter r. So v squared over r. So walang numbers, no? But it is analysis. So sabi daw, if you reduce the velocity of a bicycle by half and the radius remains the same, the revolution remains the same, the radius of revolution. So what will happen to AC? Most of the questions now in science are something like this. And so if you say half ang velocity, and r here is constant, so r becomes 1. Kay constant kasi siya. And then v becomes 1/2. So 1/2 squared is 1/4. Diba? 1/2 squared is 1/4 kasi r is 1. Therefore, it's reduced by 1/4. Okay? So take note of that. Now, 45. If the mass of the bag is doubled, its potential energy blank. The same concept, no? Nagdo-double ba? Nag-increase ba 4 times, reduced by 1/2? The answer is doubled. Why? Remember that potential energy is mgh. And then everything is constant here except for the mass. So therefore, g is constant, h is constant. If the mass daw is doubled, what will happen to potential energy? So if this is doubled, because they're directly proportional, PE is also doubled. So that's why you have E as the answer, A as the answer. 46. Let's go to second law, planetary motion of Kepler. Okay. This motion, this law implies that the planet farther from the sun will blank. Second law. There are 3 laws of planetary motion. What does the second law imply? Okay. If the planet farther from the sun will accelerate faster, have no acceleration, or move faster or slower. The answer is it will move slower. Okay. Farther the planet from the sun, the slower it moves as it revolves around the sun. Okay, so take note of that. But take note also of the 3 laws of planetary motion. One is the law of ellipse, that the planets move around the sun in an elliptical path, not circular. And then yun yung planetary motion, second law, that when it's near to the sun, it moves faster, but when it's far from the sun, it moves slower. And then the third law says that the time it takes to revolve around the sun squared is directly proportional to the distance, okay, to the cube of the distance between them. Okay. Number 47. This is a little bit of computational, pero ano lang to, application lang ng third law of motion. Sabi, meron kang remote control boat with a mass of 5 kg accelerated in a pond by 16 meter per second. Okay? Tapos may net force acting on it. Okay? And the same force on another boat with a mass of 10 kilograms. Okay? If it's the same force with the mass of 10 kilograms, ano yung acceleration of the second craft? Okay? So the answer here is 8 meters. Okay? Paano? So we solve first for the F, and that is 16 times 5, no? Mass times acceleration. 16 times 5, ano yan? 16 times 5, 6, 5, 3, 5, 80, 80. 80 ba yan? 16 times 5, correct? 80 ba yan? If that is 80 indeed, no? 80. 80, tapos, so 80 is equal to 10 times x. That is the acceleration. Okay? So if 80 is equal to 10 times x, therefore x is equal to 80 divided by 10, which is 8 meter per second squared. Okay? So, in-apply lang natin yung third law of motion that the force move on one way is equal to the force move on the other way. Number 48, no? I hope you're still with me. 48. May projectile tayo like a football ball when thrown at an angle not perpendicular to the ground will form a trajectory that its shape. No, this is easy. Ano yung shape ng trajectory ng isang football ball? Ito, I want you to answer this. No? Ano yung trajectory ng isang football ball? I need you to answer it in the chat box. If you throw the football ball, how does that trajectory look like? Okay? Is it circular, elliptical, parabolic, or straight line? Straight line pala is redundant. So line. All lines are straight. in a Euclidean world. Sige, what's your answer? Number 48, D. May D. Bakit D yung answer? Bakit D yung sagot? Okay, C, C, C. Okay, C, no? C yung answer natin, correct? So it's parabolic because the horizontal motion is average, no? Ano yan? Constant velocity, but the vertical motion is accelerated, no? Uniformly accelerated. Put that together, you will have a parabola. So the math people will understand this one better, and the physics people, bakit parabolic, no? And all the others will understand this one very much. Now let's talk about pressure. The pressure exerted by a column of steel 5 meters high is, no? So diretso na lang tayo sa answer, but this is about pressure. Pressure is the density of the object times the acceleration due to gravity in the height. And so using that formula, number 49's answer is B. Hindi ko na I will not stay with this anymore. But just do not forget the formula for pressure. One of the formulas for pressure. One formula for pressure is force over surface area. The other one is the density of the object times its acceleration due to gravity, G, and the height. Okay? Number 50, the tendency of an object to remain in its state of rest or uniform motion in a straight line is called. Again, diretso na ako. Some of you are familiar with this, very familiar with this, and the answer is inertia. And inertia has come in many forms. Remember, inertia is dependent on the mass of the object, not the weight, but the mass. So the greater the mass, the greater the inertia. And inertia is the tendency of the object to resist change. No? Therefore, when it is moving, will continue to move at a straight path at a constant velocity. If it is not moving, it will continue to remain not moving until such time an external force will act against it. Okay? Don't forget also the concept of equilibrium and density. 51. When the temperature of a tap water increases, what happens? Okay? So, medyo kulang tayo sa time. Pero when the temperature of a tap water increases, what happens is heat is absorbed. Umiinit yung isang tap water because heat is absorbed somewhere. So kung iniinit mo yung tap water, most likely iinit din siya, di ba? Because it absorbs heat. Okay? Just like your black shirt, no, absorbing heat from the sun. Okay? Remember also that the heat flows from hot to cold. So if A and B are hot and cold object, blue being the cold object, when you mix them, the hot becomes colder and the cold becomes a little bit hot, and they eventually hit a temperature that is a little bit colder than hot and a little bit hotter than cold. Very simple concept. Number 52. Now let's go to a body again, moving in a circular path at a constant speed. The answer is pulled inwards. Now remember the centripetal force. Centripetal force scientifically means this is the force that the direction of the force is going towards the center of the circular path. This is the centripetal force. Okay? And it's equal to mv squared over r. In a road where the car is moving and moving at a curved path, the centripetal force is the friction with the road and the tire. Number 53, Newton's second law of motion, or F is equal to ma, tells about the quantitative relationship between, again, F equals ma. Therefore, the answer is mass and acceleration. Do not forget this equation. This is one of the simplest but most elegant equations in physics. F equals ma. Force is equal to the product of the mass and acceleration, and the force and acceleration are sharing the same direction. 54. Mechanical energy cannot be directly converted into blank. No, pabalik-balik na sinistress namin to, especially sa earth science or sa general science. Mechanical energy cannot be converted into radiant energy. Okay, remember that. Electrical energy is very versatile because it can be almost all converted into different forms of energy. But there are some, like radiant and mechanical energy, that cannot be transformed easily to another to a specific form of energy. So, number 55, a scientist, after studying the previous literature and the subject and using only reason and logic, will claim to have discovered the law of nature without performing a single experiment. What do you call this method? Sometimes this is asked in professional subjects, no, professional area, no, sa let. So ano to? You just study the laws and then wala kang experiment. Anong klaseng method, scientific method to? So this is called deductive method or deduction method. The reverse of it is induction method. So the theory of relativity of Einstein is done in deductively, and some other laws are done inductively. Okay. Meaning to say, experiment muna before you make a theory. Okay. That's 5. A freely falling body is a case of uniform acceleration. When you say uniform acceleration, the velocity increases at a particular time at the same time. So at the same rate. So here, from 0 meter, after 1 second, it's 9.8. After 2 seconds, it's 19.6. After 3 seconds, it's 29.4. Fourth is 39.2. The difference between the speed between the range is 9.8 meter per second. That's why G is called 9.8 meter per second, okay, or 9.8 meter per second squared, because the velocity increases by 9.8 meter per second every second. 57, equilibrium is the state of the body where all forces act on the same body are equal, no unbalanced forces act on it, and the system has zero net force. Okay? And then 58, gravitational potential energy or GPE depends on, we look at the equation, GPE is mgh, okay, mass and height, mgh, okay? Second to the last, I'm about to finish, Mamek, sorry for the delay. Frictional force is the force that opposes motion. I think everybody knows that, no? Okay. But if you place that with some items that might be confusing, then they just don't forget, no? Always relate friction to opposing the motion. Number 60 is a computation. 11 kilometers towards the north, then turn east and walk 6 kilometers, then turn south and walk 3 kilometers. Using Pythagorean principle, you can solve for the value of the resultant, no? And that is 10, no? Okay, that is 10 kilometers away. Okay, so thank you so much. Pasensya na, medyo mahaba. But I think this is essential. So I hope that somehow you learned something from today's discussion. Please ready your calculators tomorrow, for we'll have more of this tomorrow.
Yes, maraming salamat po, Doc H, no? Maraming dumugo yung ilong, no? But of course, all these are very essential, sabi nga ni Doc, no? And lahat ito lumalabas not only in your left sa Gen Ed, lumalabas din of course, meron din ito sa TLE, no? Some
That's true.
Electricity at electronics lumalabas din sa TLE major, and of course sa physics major. Maraming salamat. Thank you, Doc. And of course, tomorrow we will be back with part 4, and that will be at 6 p.m.
Share ko na lang.
6 p.m. Doc. Okay.
6 p.m.
All right, let's all end our night with our closing prayer. Rainy, please be quiet. Yung anak ko nandito sa kwarto. Rain, we will pray. Quiet, please.
As we end our activities tonight, O Lord, we want to thank you for your innumerable provisions. Thank you so much, O God, for all the things that you have done to us. We wait and hope for you. You are our sure reward. Please keep us safe of this whole week. In the mighty name of Jesus, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen. So sa muli, Doc H, maraming salamat. We all learned so much, no? And I'm pretty sure na napaka-essential ng lahat ng na ituro ni Doc H ngayon. So please don't forget. And of course, he is kind enough to share his slides with us. Okay? So lahat ng mga members ng ating teams, your slides are going to be posted in our teams later. Okay? Maraming salamat, Doc H. Good night po.
Good night.
And of course, with the help of Doc H, and we'll leave you the saying, malit man na butil ng mga kaalaman, ang dulo nito ay malaking kaginawaan. Good night!
Good night.
See you tomorrow night. Bye!
See you tomorrow.